All right. And how many of you were on last week? Last time we did this. Cindy, you were with Selena, because I was traveling and speaking that day.
Right, correct, yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Cindy Cashin. I'm talking to Cindy Shelton right now, not you.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Too many Cindys.
You were on it too, Cindy Cashin? You were on it also?
Yes, not the entire time, but yes, I was on for about half of it.
Okay. So if you can, Cindy Shelton, if you can give me an idea of where we were, because today's wrap up, and I want to do my thing for wrapping it up, but I also want to make sure that we covered all of the exercises and where we were in it. Oh, wow. Gosh, everybody's jumping on now. So.
That's a good question.
Hi, Katie Green. How's my
Shoot.
favorite Chico girl?
I think Erica's going to fight you for that position.
Well, she doesn't have to know. She's not on here.
I'm really good. I got my big Great Pyrenees that just got back from the
vet
groomer.
Oh, the groomer. He looks so cute.
He's a big giant 110-pound monster.
Yeah. That's awesome.
How's everyone else this morning?
Everybody seems good. We'll see. So Cindy Shelton, back to you. Where were we on this?
Well, that's a good question.
If anybody else remembers what got covered, just chime in. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, she did a lot of, there were a lot of questions and answer time, I think. And I don't really recall working in the book too much.
Okay, good. So I know what I'm going to do then. And then who is me? Somebody is on the call and all it says is me. So, and then if anybody else was available and on the call last time and they want to share with us, I'd love to hear what you remember learning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so what we talked about was that, as we go through this workbook, the most important thing to start with is look at the table of contents. We talked on the very first call, we talked about the strategic plan and the importance of the strategic plan. I want to remind everybody as we wrap up, because today is November 18th. So we have 12 more days in December, and we have 12 more days in November, 31 days in December. That's another 43 days left in the year. And we have about 45 days before we go back to work on January 2nd. So January 2nd is kind of the target date, because nobody's ever really working hard on December 31st or January 1st. But the target date is that, let me let more people in. Okay. Hold on real quick. Oh, hi, Jenny Stoops. That's so cool. All right. So the target, the main reason that we have a target date of getting the workbook done is because you want to have some runway for the rest of the year to really start putting into practice the things you're promising yourself you're going to do differently in 2023. And a lot of times we don't. We get I know hundreds and hundreds of agents who usually do their business plan workbook in January, no matter how much we preach to them to do it in September or October, so that they have several months of time to really warm up. And that's the important thing, is that we have this time to say, I'm going to do this differently for 2023, and I might as well start in the month of December so I can prove. And you go, oh, well, month of December is holidays and it's this and that. Look, folks, yes, you have shopping. Yes, you have family time. Yes, you have people coming in. I'm pretty booked this year from the 14th of December all the way through the day after Christmas. Okay, that's 12 days that I'm not going to do much working, but I already know it, so I can plan my work schedule to really create some lead generation activity and everything, knowing that already. Okay, so maybe I can work on the 14th, but on the 15th, I'm probably not going to be allowed to work. And by allowed to work, I mean, it's going to be a lot of family. And yes, I'm always the guy that's sneaking off trying to work, but I'm going to have a lot of eyes on me, so I won't necessarily be able to get away with that. But what does it make me do? It makes me realize that, okay, today's November 18th. I want to take a little bit of a weekend off. I've never worked harder in number of hours that I can remember in a long time, since the 80s, over like what I've done the last 3 weeks. So I've put in, I'm close to 90 hours a week the last 3 weeks. So this weekend, I'm trying to take it easy a little bit. I'm still going to work Monday and Tuesday and maybe part of Wednesday. The reason I'm using me as an example is just put yourself in your shoes for a minute and say, okay, I know what my family does. I know how I normally act. And it's so important that when you're thinking of the strategic plan, this is how my business looks at the end of 2023. This is how my business looks at the end of 2027. Like, think about all those years and the things that could happen. Then I really got to start right now, because it's a day-by-day process. And if you committed to doing a certain number of appointments, because one of the things we do in this workbook is, the whole idea is to think of this big, hairy, audacious goal for what you're going to take home at the end of the year. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, one more time. If I know what I'm going to take home at the end of the year, that typically means, this is a generally speaking statement, that typically means I'm going to have 50% expenses. So I've got to double that in GCI. Let me give you an example. I want to take home $500,000 next year after I've paid all my real estate expenses and before taxes. Let's just use that as an example. Okay. If that's the case, if that's what I really want to take home, then I'm going to have to double that for my GCI number, my gross commission income number. Okay, so let's say I want to take home 500,000. I have to do $1 million in GCI. If I want to take home 100,000 cash, I'm going to have to do about 200,000 in GCI. But remember this: the lower amount of your big, hairy, audacious goal, the expense is typically lower also. Okay, so for instance, my big, hairy, audacious goal for 2023 for me and our entire team is 2.2 million in gross commission income. Okay. But if I go up that much, I know that my expenses will be right around 60%, not 50, not 40, 60. So that means my margin is 40. This is the math part that freaking scares the crap out of people. Like, what you talking about math? I'm a real estate agent. The math goes to the lender. No, we got to at least know the math as it relates to how much business we're going to do. And I can tell you that if you're going to be doing the math ahead of time, it really is what's going to drive you. So, some of you are in cars and you can't do this right now. But what I'd love for you to do is do some quick math, and I'll show you how in a minute. But basically the math goes like this. If I want to do 200,000, in gross in take home pay, that means I got to do 400,000 in gross commission income. If I got to do 400,000 in gross commission income, probably I'm going to have about 200,000 in expenses, give or take. Remember, those include the money you would pay to a buyer's agent to take out some buyers. It would include the money you pay your broker. It would include all your expenses, your car, your insurance, your MLS dues, like your assistant, your transaction coordinator, like all of that's included in it. Okay. If that number feels really high to you, that's okay. Take responsibility. Say, no, there's no way my expenses will be that big. That's okay. But I'm talking about general terms right now. And if you are on a team and your split is 50-50, then you've got to calculate that split. So in other words, when you write down what's the commission percentage you get, let's say you're getting 2.5% on for a buyer deal. Well, if you're on a team and you're 50-50, then you're really getting 1.25%. So that's what you will calculate when you're doing the numbers. Because if you said, I'm going to do let's just say, for example, that I'm going to do 400,000 in gross closed commission, and I need to know how much volume is that's going to be. And I'm a buyer's agent on a team, let's just say. So me and my team leader are splitting everything 50-50. So now I'm going to get 1.25% commission. So guess what I do? I'm going to take my $400,000 gross commission income that I need to do, and I'm going to divide it by the commission. So I'm going to divide it by 0.0125, which is 1.25% commission. And I'm going to get 32 million. So I have to do 32 million, right? To get to gross 400,000 in commission on a 50-50 split with my team leader. Now that might sound a little complicated to you because maybe Ramsey, for instance, maybe you're an individual agent, you're not on a team, so you don't have to worry about that. Then you're just taking that 400,000 and dividing it by 2.5 commission, which is going to be what? If I take that's going to be half. If I divide it by 0.025, then it's only going to be 16 million. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going a little fast, but I just kind of want you guys to go. This is recorded. You'll get a copy of the recording so you can slow this part down again. Don't play it in slow motion because you won't understand me, but you get what I'm saying. Now, what do I do with this number? Okay. What do I do with this number now that I have it? Sorry, there's people calling. All I have to do with this number, if I'm Ramsey, for instance, and I want to figure out, well, how many appointments do I need to get? Then I'm going to take this 16 million and divide it by my average sale price. Ramsey, is your average sale price about 4?
326.
326. Ramsey's in Minnesota, for you guys that don't know, 326. Oh, wait. It was 16 million, right? Divided by 326,000. So Ramsey's going to have to do 50 transactions, just about 49 and something, 49 and change. He's going to have to do a total of 50 transactions. Okay, let's just say buyers and sellers combined to get that money. And guess what that's going to tell me? Here's where it gets complicated a little bit, but I want you to stay tuned. The National Association of Realtors says that we all, as a group, all of us realtors together, we convert at about an 80% rate, meaning if I talk to 10 buyers about working with me, 8 of them will probably work with me. Okay. And then if I get, let's say I have 10 buyers that I've won over, only about 80% of them will end up buying. So I've already won over 10 buyers. They're saying, hey, Ramsey, I'm committed to you. You're going to sell me my home. But in a market like this, only 8 of them will end up buying. So it doesn't mean just because a buyer said, yes, you're going to be my agent, that they'll end up buying. You've all experienced that before. So it's really understanding now that I have to do 2 conversion rates on this. I'm going to divide this number. I'm going to round it off to 50. Okay, I just rounded it off to 50, and I'm going to divide by 0.8, which is an 80% conversion, and it gives me 63, 62 and a half, 63. Now, what does that mean? For Ramsey to close those 50 deals, he has to have 63 clients committed to him. 63 buyers and sellers at a 326 average sale price. Committed. Hey, Ramsey, I'll work with you. Okay. But guess what? He has to go on appointments or call people, get appointments to win those people over. He's going to win them over at a rate of 80%. So now we're going to round that to 63, and we're going to divide by 0.8 again. And now it's 79. So now I'm going to do it backwards for you. 79. Ramsey has to get 79 appointments. Okay? 79 appointments for the whole freaking year to get 63 clients. Who will those 63 clients will close 50 transactions? And he'll have his big, hairy, audacious goal of 400,000 gross and taking home 200,000. Now, Ramsey, I didn't ask you, but how would 200 grand next year sound to you personally? Is that low? Is that high? Is that exciting? Where is that for you?
That's exciting.
It's exciting. Okay, so I didn't ask him what his big, hairy, audacious goal is, but let's just say that were his numbers. Guess what Ramsey gets to do right now? He gets to take 79. Okay, and I'm just going to round it 79 because it was 78 and divide that by 12. That means he has to go on 7 appointments a month. Okay. Let's be honest, guys. 7 appointments a month is not that time consuming in an entire month. You're talking about 2 appointments a week or less. Okay, 2 appointments a week. So now Ramsey, do you have a significant other at home? Girlfriend, friend, mom, dad that you confide in? Anybody?
Yeah, I have a fiance,
Okay, good. So what's her first name?
Taylor.
Taylor. So you're going to go to Taylor and you go, Taylor, I'm so excited today. I realized that to have a huge amount of income next year, I just got to go on 2 appointments a week. And Taylor, she's not in the industry, I take it, Ramsey?
Nope. Mm-mm.
So Taylor's going to go, what? Wait, what? That's what the consumer, not the consumer, excuse us, but our family and our loved ones don't know about our business. They think we have to kill it to just create that. Well, we do. How is he going to create? Here's where we have to kill it. We don't know. Ramsey doesn't know from right now. I don't know how many calls, how many door knocks, how many open houses, how many internet leads is it going to take him to get 2 appointments in a week? And what are we calling an appointment? We're calling an appointment right now the act of convincing the buyer or seller to work with me. That's the appointment we're talking about. Not get in my car, let's go see houses, but are you committed to only getting in the car with me and going to see houses? That appointment where the buyer says, you're my man, Ramsey. I'm coming with you. You're the one who's going to sell me a home. And it could be a loyalty agreement. It could be a buyer broker agreement. It could just be a nice conversation. Hey, I work really hard for my clients. And is there some way that we can have a conversation where I know you're committed to me because I'm going to be super committed to you. And I just don't want to throw all of that energy and have you not work with me. Like you could have a conversation like that, or explain all the reasons why working with you brings value to them. And if you don't have that set up, that's not something for this class. But I can tell you, if you don't have the words in your mouth, in your memory of an incredible buyer consultation, or even more important, an incredible listing consultation, then you got to get that, right? And we have a million resources for that. I was in someone's office the other day. I think I was in Chico. And right on the desk, I saw seller presentation, buyer presentation. It was very fancy. And I said, where'd you get that? Guess where she got it? Etsy, $39.95 on Etsy. I was like, holy cow. I started looking through it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. So, and it doesn't always apply, right? Because, you know, it's going to be more general. You might have to customize it a little bit or change something. But in general, you can get a really great listing presentation and buyer consultation right on Etsy. But here's the point. If you Google scripts, real estate scripts, if you just Google that, you'd be surprised how much free scripts you can get. Everybody's always saying, how do I succeed in this business? And almost everything you need is free, or pretty close to it. But if Ramsey develops a great conversation so that twice a week he's convincing a person, right? That's the number of appointments. That doesn't mean the number of what's that? They Canva templates and you can personalize them. Okay, cool. Thank you, Bruce. Canva is something my wife and my assistant understand, and I just don't get it. It's just another program I don't have the bandwidth to absorb. But if he goes on these 2 appointments every week, and let's be honest, he has to go on 79 appointments, okay? If you go 2 a week, all right, 2 a week, and you take 4 weeks off, all right, 4 weeks off of the year leaves 48 weeks. And if you do 2, you still did 96 appointments. All right, which is still a lot more than 79. And if he converts, you know, let's say that's going to be his goal, but if he ends up going on 96 and he converts 80%, that's about 77. And if 80% of them buy or sell, he's still going to end up with 61, 62 closed sales, which is a lot bigger than the 50 that he set the goal. That's what I'm saying. When you set a big, hairy, audacious goal and you round up all the time, you usually end up doing so much better than what you planned. And that's what I really wanted to relate to everybody today, is that the simplicity of just sitting down and planning. And it drives us all nuts because we're doing the exercise and then we're questioning ourselves while we're doing it. And we're saying, will I really do this? And, you know, I don't know. I just don't feel good. Or, you know, look, John's on the call. He's beat cancer a couple of times. Bernadette's on the call. She's beat cancer a couple of times. They're still on the call. Okay. I have a really good friend on the call who just got diagnosed. She's on this call with breast cancer. On this call. Because what? Life goes on. Yes, you have to face up, you have to buck up. And they're on the call. Why? Because life goes on. Whether or not you're fighting all of these other things that are going on in your life. This is the time to sit down and say, look, I'm a tough mother. I'm a tough mother. I'm going to make 2023 my best year ever. And it will be a life-changing year if you decide that. Right? Like I loved how Ramsey smiled when he said, yeah, 200 grand be great, right? Everybody gets to decide their big, hairy, audacious goal. Everybody gets to decide what's important for them. Nobody else's business. That's why I don't go show people my big, hairy, audacious goal. I share it with you guys because it's a matter of example. But you don't want to do that. You want to go look at my big, hairy, audacious goal and risk them going, what? That's big and hairy? Right? Looks small and bald to me. No, we don't need your opinion. It's my big, hairy, audacious goal, and that's what counts. Now, when you show it to a coach, and a coach says, because you've heard me all say before, I've complained. I go, I hate when a coach goes, double it, triple it, 10 times it. I love when a coach opens your mind to the possibility that making your big, hairy, audacious goal bigger is a possibility. But you have to make that decision, because then if you don't, it's not your goal and you're no longer committed to it. Oh, I wrote that down because I was guilted into it in my class, or my coach guilted me into it. No, ain't working. Right? Your mom said you should be able to do better. Nope, not a reason. As much as you love your mom doesn't mean you're going to be committed. Right? I decided on my own that I wanted to be a dentist. Okay. This was many years ago. Guess how I came up with that decision? Because I loved working on cars when I was in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. I loved it. I didn't even have a driver's license. But I could change out carburetors. I changed the carburetors out twice on my dad's Chrysler. I changed out, what do they call it? Heater cores. I changed out radiators. I was good. I loved working with my hands. And there was this one day in high school in freshman that I thought, what could I do that could make me more money working with my hands and I wouldn't come home with grease under my fingernails? That's the question I asked myself. And I go, I could be a dentist. And that's how I decided I want to be a dentist. Not a real estate agent, a dentist. And then I went that way. I took more biology courses in school and high school, and then I got a biology degree in college, and I got rejected by 13 dental schools, and I went and got my real estate license. Okay. So why do I bring that up? I had plans and they fell through, right? They didn't come out the way I planned. That's what's going to happen. We all had plans. The people that are on here that are either have cancer or work through cancer, they didn't have a plan to have cancer. It wasn't in their plan. Got it? Oh, Bruce, I love that. Where did you hear that first? That was goals in stone, plans in sand.
I actually learned it in real estate school, getting my license. A broker came in and he put that out there, and I was like,
yeah,
that's golden.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're still working without getting grimy hands.
Yeah.
Changed.
Yes. And my wife likes to say that our dreams don't always show up in the package we expected them, nor do they ever look exactly how we thought they'd look. But they're still your dreams. They just had to come out differently, right? Thomas Rhett, I'm a big country western fan. Anybody here like country besides me? Okay. You hear a song where he says, we make our plans and we hear God laughing. The name of that song is Life Changes. That's the name of the song. Of course, life changes. But I love when he talks about that part, when he says we make our plans and we hear God laughing, because he has different plans for us. And if you don't believe in God, then think about the universe, because there is a universe. Can't doubt that. It's all right here. The universe has different plans for you. And I mention it in courses all the time about how we'll have this great plan, but that the universe's plan is not laying right over it. It's different. And it becomes about how are we reacting to the changes in life that we didn't expect. That's what business planning is about. At least you're setting a path. Will there be disruptions on the path? Hell yes. But at least you got a plan, right? Which beats the heck out of the people that don't have the plan, that are going by the seat of their pants. And I'm not criticizing any of them either, because I know a lot of people shoot from the hip, no plans, no nothing, and do very well. I'm not one of them. I got to have something that's guiding, a compass, right? A compass that guides me down the street. And if I set a big old hairy audacious goal of 2.2 million and I don't get there, I'm still probably going to be a lot better than if I had set a mediocre goal. All right. Okay. So that got us through the numbers with a little mindset stuff behind the numbers. But I'm going to tell you, the numbers aren't as difficult as we make them, right? If you're just using 50% expenses, if you don't know your expenses, the end of this year, when you start looking at doing your taxes for 2022 in 2023, I'm going to ask you to pay a lot of attention and start looking where your money went. Now, one of my favorite books for running a real estate business is The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller. Next year will be 20 years since it came out. Right. So Bruce, I don't know if you know, I'm on page 11 of that book, buddy. There's a picture of me on page 11. Anyway, the reason I say that is this. In that book, he talks about the percentages that should, I hate using that word, but should be in your business. Like marketing is this percent, and this, and this, and this. That's if you're running a pretty large productive team. But you have to start extrapolating and saying what works for me. Now, I might one year spend more on marketing and less on this, but if they all even out, the main thing is, am I running a profitable business or am I running a nonprofit? And none of us want to be running a nonprofit. It's not how we're going to live. Okay. So share my screen again and let's go. So we talked about the strategic plan. I'll zip through it. There's a bunch of questions. What do I want to achieve in my business and life in 5 years? That's 2 questions. What do I want to achieve in my business and life in 1 year? And what do I want to achieve in my business and life in 6 months? That's just the way the booklet's written. If you want to say 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, it's up to you. Go for it. But the main thing is to begin with the end in mind. What does it look like 5 years from now? What does it look like 10 years from now? And then work your way back to December 31st of 2023, a year from now, or even 6 months. How am I looking? Because what's the end of the first 6 months? June 30th. On June 30th, July 1st, how am I looking? Where am I at? And that's what you want to do. But the big questions at the end of the strategic plan are these last 3. How will I know I'm making progress? Yes, set benchmarks. That's all I'm going to say right there. Set benchmarks. If you said you're going to lose 20 pounds next year, by July 1st, you should have lost 10. It makes a lot of sense. All right. But if I'm in real estate, what do I know about real estate? Think about this. I hate to throw a little wrench in the works, guys, but I know that certain quarters, if I'm in Minnesota, for example, I've been coaching people in Minnesota for 18, 19 years. I know in Minnesota, the seasons affect my business much more than they do in California. So, then I might think, oh, well, my first quarter is going to be a lot slower. My second and third quarters are going to be very busy, and my fourth quarter will be slower. So where do I have to do the majority of my business? In the second and third quarters. Those are things to know when you start thinking about how am I making progress and what's my benchmarks. Then the question, what's the biggest pain in my business right now? The one thing I want you to get about this is the pain in your business actually lead generation, or is it consistency of lead generation? Which is it? When you lead generate, do you do well? Like, when you actually sit down and do it, do you do well? Or do you get distracted? And do you ever do 5 days in a row? Right? People say, I did 1 day in a row. I go, 1 doesn't make a row. Right? 2 makes a row. I did 2 days in a row. Good for you. But once you get to 5 days a week, regardless of how many in a row, if you're doing 5 days a week, you have 7 days in the week, you get 2 days off. Right? If I'm doing lead generation 5 days a week, I'm probably going to have some real success. And let's be honest, if I'm coaching Ramsey personally and I'm saying, Ramsey, all you need is 2 appointments a week. What's he going to do? If I'm Ramsey, then on Monday, I'm freaking calling, booking, door knocking, everything. Because if I book all my 2 appointments on Monday, oh man, I'm going to have a great week. Because Monday's done and I got all my appointments booked for the week. Now what can I do? I can prepare for the appointments. I can actually, oh wait, I might lead generation more on Wednesday and see if I can get more than 2. You never know. You know what they say about what do squirrels do? They store up the nuts for the winter, right? If I've got a good week and I book more than 2 appointments, good. That's just getting me stored up for just in case I don't book 2 appointments in a week. Lot to think about, right? And then, so when we're asking about the biggest pain in my business, what is mine? I don't know. Maybe we got to work on conversion. Maybe, when you talk to big teams, very rarely do they say leads are the problem. Okay. They might say, oh, I talked to a guy the other day and he said, all the leads I'm getting suck. And I said, really? I said, the way I run my business is no leads suck. They're all amazing leads. Some of them are ready, some of them aren't. That's the way I run my business. Some of them are ready, some of them aren't. So what's my job? Stay in touch with them, bring them value, not stay in touch with them by every time I call, text, or email. It's about, you ready yet? You ready yet? No, bring them value. Like, did you realize there was a drop in interest rates? Just wanted to keep you up to date. I know you're not ready right now, right? Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you know that I heard from my lender that there's a trend, and that trend will be in the beginning of next year that the interest rates will fall. What I did a whole bunch of text messages to prospects a few weeks ago when somebody kept saying over and over, marry the property, date the rate. Marry the property, date the rate. So I heard that. I'm like, oh, I could share that saying with a lot of prospects. So there's a lot we could be doing. What's going really well for me in my business right now is the last question on the strategic plan. So I want to make sure you pay attention to that, and then you write it down. You get honest with yourself what you do good at, right? If you're really good once you're face-to-face with a client, like you're really good at converting them or smiling and they go, gosh, I really like you, I want to work with you, then do more of that. You go, well, how do I do more of that? Get a damn appointment. That's how. And to get the appointment, do whatever it takes. Now let's move on to the personal objectives. It says family, faith, fun, friends, fitness, and I would add finances to that too. Family, faith, fun, friends, fitness, and finances. And you're going to go through there and go by December 31st of 2023. How are things different in all these areas? That's how it is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Core values, we talked about this. Core values is really about finding the energy words that when you hear them, you feel good. You want to be associated with those words. Honesty, integrity, communication, incredible client experiences, fun, right? Maybe you want to make real estate transactions fun. I want to. I don't want my clients stressed out. I want it to be fun for them. So there's all kinds of good things going on under when you do core values. You want to write down all these words, and it's a great collaboration exercise. So Cindy Shelton in Utah, you have people in your office, you probably know some other people, get together and say, I'm going to do my core values. Why don't you do yours at the same time? We can all help each other with what words work for us. So it is a really great collaboration exercise. Ramsey, you're in a great office out there, grab some people, say, let's go do our core values together. And Ramsey, you're the owner of your company, took the Workman workbook and mixed it in with their own stuff and did a really great job. I was pretty impressed. So you can actually spend, you guys got a nice, I think it's a 48-page workbook to really spend some time on and really create a great business plan. Guys, it's not bad to do a whole 4-hour or 8-hour session with a lunch break, get some people, say, we're going to spend the whole day. And you would not be damaging your business. You'd be helping your business. Okay. The mission statement, I'm just going to shortcut this by saying this example down here is way too long, way too wordy, not an efficient example, in my opinion. But the 5 questions are what you want to ask yourself. I'm not going to go through the long story right now, but we developed our mission statement, the one we have now, about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think it's been 5 years now, and it's very simple. The mission statement of the Rick G. Howe Real Estate Team is to improve the lives of all we serve. It's simple, it's direct. It answers these 5 questions. My tendency, without the help of my team that collaborated with me, is to say too much. We're going to improve the lives of all we serve by doing this and this and this and this. And my marketing lady once said, you don't need to tell them how, just tell them what you're going to do. in your mission statement? What do I want to be known for? What makes me unique? The answer to all those questions is the same: to improve the lives of all I serve, right? So when you come up with these, I talked about a month ago, and I said, all right, here's a good thing. Go back to the question. I said, why am I in business? And he said, to sell houses. I go, well, all right, let's go deeper. What happens when you sell someone a house? He goes, they're happy. I go, so what if your mission statement is we make people happy? And he goes, could it be that easy? I said, yes, it can be. I said, now ask these 5 questions of we make people happy. Do all 5 of these questions, are they answered by the words we make people happy? Why am I in business? We make people happy. That's why I'm in business. What makes me unique? We make people happy. Do you get it? How simple it is? We overthink everything. It's as simple as that, right? One friend of mine used to say, changing people's lives one backyard at a time. That was their mission statement. And I said, what happens when you sell a condo? She said, shut up. All right, SWOT analysis, best part of the whole thing. This is the one that takes the most time. Why? Because you have to give 5 of these away. This is what it looks like. I'm going to go quickly through strengths and weaknesses. You can figure those out. Opportunities and threats are things you don't control: interest rates, inventory, stuff like that. Change in the market, hurricanes, snowstorms, fires, tsunamis. None of those are things you control. Opportunities and threats. You fill this out for yourself, and then you're going to give a copy of this to 5 people. Please listen to this part. 2 that are in the industry and 3 that are not in the industry that you know, like, and trust. Okay? People that you don't care if they say something that goes against you because you know they're doing it from love, not from spite. Right? So Ramsey, if someone said, Ramsey, you're on their weakness, they told you you're horribly impatient. Right? You don't want to be mad at them. You want to be thankful for telling you something that you don't see in yourself. Okay? So that's the biggest part of this exercise, is to take yours and take the 5 you get back from your friends and start looking for commonalities. That's what this exercise is about. What are the words that are showing up on mine and those 5 about my strengths? What are the ones showing up on mine and the other 5 about my weaknesses and about opportunities and threats in my market? Right? Like, when we talk about this, people say, well, what would my friends know about opportunities and threats in the real estate industry? Believe me, they have their perspective. That's what you want. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what their perspective is, and does it enlighten you? Then you're going to go to this sheet right down here, where you put down all of the opportunities and your strengths that create more business, because you have a strength here and an opportunity here, and I can put them together. All right. For instance, let's just say that one of the opportunities is that a major company is moving into your geographical area. Maybe you read it in the paper or saw it on the news, that a major company is moving into your geographical area. Well, maybe one of your strengths is door knocking. Well, you could door knock the HR director of that company and say, hey, I'd love to do a free welcome to Minnesota speech for your people. I'll bring lunch. I'll bring my resources, meaning we'll bring a title person, we'll bring a lender, we'll bring, and we'll talk to your people for free. And they go, oh yeah, we'd love that, right? That's called pairing a strength and an opportunity. When you have a weakness, for instance, mine is patience. I have to learn how I can be more patient. Plus I have to decide to outsource stuff that causes me my impatience. So just something to think about. Income goal spreadsheet. This is what we talked a little bit about at the beginning, the numbers. My net annual, right? That's how much do I want to take home before taxes, but after all my real estate expenses are spent. And if you go through this sheet, you're going to figure out that appointment number that we just talked about. Okay. All right. 4 pillars of income, guys. This is a big one, because I want to make sure, I may have presented it in a way that maybe wasn't as effective before. So I want to present it this way right now. Okay. How do I get, notice, by the way, this PDF that I send you guys is a fillable PDF. I don't like doing it on the computer. I like handwriting it. But look, if I type right here, I can say my referrals from agents. That's my number, or I can just, to make it shorter, I can just say agent referrals. And then I can say SOI referrals. These are my 2 biggest pillars in my business. you could wrap them all up into one pillar and say they're all referrals, but I know that 19% of my referrals are from consumers, which means they don't have a referral fee attached, but 81% of my referrals are from agents, which means they do have a referral fee attached. I don't want to reduce my number of agent referrals. I want to increase it, but I also want to increase my number of consumer referrals so that the percentage is more even, right? So maybe I'm getting more business where I'm paying no referral fees. So those are going to make up, these two together are going to make up about 81% of my business. Now I'm going to add another pillar. Maybe it's open houses. And maybe I'm just getting good at open houses now because I didn't do any during the pandemic. So I might say that if I have a goal to sell let's say I'm Ramsey and my goal is to sell 50 homes so I can take home 200 grand. I have to start calculating if I'm going to get 80% from agent and SOI referrals, right? Maybe I'm going to get, I'm going to maybe close 20 deals here and 10 here. That's still going to leave me 20 more deals. So I can get those maybe from open houses or internet lead generation or a number of ways. The main idea that you want to do is we all have a pillar that we've been getting the majority of our business from, is to start adding another pillar, then another till you have 4. Even if you're not that great at that pillar yet, pick one that you're going to work on long term so that eventually, get this, I know this is going to sound confusing, that each pillar individually could get you your entire goal. You get it? Like if my goal is to sell 50 houses this year, if I'm Ramsey, how cool would it be if my referrals got me 50 and my open houses got me 50? Then all of a sudden I'm beating my goals every year. Okay. All right. Business marketing plan. This sheet, guys, is just to remind you the things that you're not doing. I'm going to warn you, don't try to add too much into your year next year. Add a couple of things max that you'll do very well that you're not currently doing. That's all. We all go to conventions or meetings and we come back going, oh my God, there was so much good ideas. Pick 2, pick 3 maximum, 3 maximum. 2 will be most likely what you actually incorporate effectively. All right. But the main thing down here that I'd like you to look at is read 4 business books this year, attend some seminars, maybe a national convention. Since 1990, that was my first year that I went to a convention, my 10th year in the business. I've not missed a convention ever. There's not been one year that I did not go to some convention. All right. When I was with a small company, I'd go to the NAR convention. When I was with a big company, I'd go to their convention. I don't miss my conventions. All right. And because I always either get a referral or I learn something new or I meet somebody or something great always happens because I have the intention that something great will happen. There's those people go, I don't know, should I go? Should I not go? Go. I don't have the money. The first year I went in 1990, I borrowed money against a credit card to go because I was so desperate to create some business because that was the year I was going to decide, am I going to stay in real estate or am I getting out? All right. I got 3 great ideas. I used them. And in 91, I doubled what I did in 90. I did that again at the end of 91, went to the NAR convention, came back, 92, doubled what I did in 91, and so on and so forth. All right. Goal achievement system, main thing here that I want to relate to you. SMART goals. See there, it's right there. It says SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time bound. I don't like those words. So I say specific, measurable, actionable, meaning the goal is going to make me move into action. And then the R, I don't use the word reasonable. I use the word risky. I want the goal to be risky. I want it to scare me. All right. But the biggest thing about this exercise on the goal achievement system is, again, I'm not telling Ramsey what to do, but since we're using him as an example that his goal was to do 50 closings this year. So I would write right here, 50 closings, both buyer and seller. Okay. Now the big question that he has to answer is why. And there's a reason why this exercise is so important, my friends. It's this. Is this really a goal you're committed to? This is where you're going to find out. If you can't answer these questions, these 3 questions, then change the goal or scrap the goal because you really have to be emotionally committed to it, right? I have the big, hairy, audacious goal to take 100 listings next year. And some guy said to me, he's a coach, but he's not my coach. And he said, well, did you mean take 100 listings or sell 100 listings? I said, I know what I said, and that's what I meant. I take 100 listings because I've never taken 100 listings any time in my entire career. All right. So if I asked Ramsey, why do you want to close 50 this year? He might say, because I want to make more than I ever have before, right? Now I might say, okay, if I'm his coach, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to go, well, what will change for you if you brought home 200 grand next year, Ramsey? What one thing might you do selfishly for yourself that you haven't done up till now? Ramsey, what would be the answer to that question? If you brought home 200 grand next year, after all your expenses and before taxes, what would be one selfish thing you'd do for yourself?
I would probably go and buy a duplex or some sort of, I'd acquire my first investment property.
Okay. That's awesome. Now, what that does is it emotionally ties him to the goal. There's a why behind the goal, right? What have been your excuses for failure? Now, if I look at my 100 listing goal and I say, why have I never taken 100 listings? I'm going to say, because I've never been committed enough. Oh, Rick. To do the amount of lead gen I need to accomplish this. Okay. And then what's my resolve going forward? My resolve going forward is to do 4 days a week minimum of 90 minutes a day lead gen specifically aimed at listings. And that would be FSBOs, expireds, calling my database that own homes, things like that, right? Bruce, go ahead, bud.
Okay, so Bernadette and I are quote unquote a team.
Right.
We should break this out separately then, shouldn't we?
Well, do you do everything together, meaning one listing is our listing?
I am the agent of record, so to speak.
Okay, but you're doing everything together either way, even though the production might be going under you.
Correct.
Then my advice to you would be to do it together, right? Now, here's what happens when two people do it together, even if they're not husband and wife, Bruce. People will see things, see the word big, hairy, audacious goal. She may see that differently than you see it.
Correct.
If that starts to happen, say, okay, how about this? I'll go do mine. I'll do yours. Let's get together and talk about how we can combine them. Get it?
Okay.
So there's no wrong or right or good or bad answer to that. It's going to be what ended up working the best. And if you guys get together and try doing the workbook together and you start seeing too many, oh, I want to go this way with that, I want to go that, it's better if you do it alone and then bring it together and collaborate about how we can both have everything we want. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Good question, by the way. All right. So now, by the way, the goal achievement system on that, there's the same thing right here for family faith. All the things you said about family, faith, fun, friends, fitness, finances, all of that. You got to do the same questions. Why am I committed to having things be different in my family? The sprint, look at this is my sprint. On a sprint, what you're doing is taking each goal and then doing a to-do list of things you do. Let me remind you, if you set a goal and you miss it, you didn't lie. However, if you set a goal and say, here's my sprint, here's my to-do list, and you say, these are the things I'm going to do and when I'm going to do them, like it says, now you're lying, kids, if you're not doing them. And this is, again, these exercises are all geared to see how committed you are to getting the goals. If I write down that I'm going to take 100 listings, right? Gina and Denise are not on my team anymore, but when the follow-up on all my listings tracked and calendared is going to go to Candela, my virtual assistant. So my virtual assistant is going to be responsible for going, hey, Rick, you're supposed to call those people back today, like getting me to do it. That's not going to be my job. My job is going to do the lead gen, feed all the information I got from the lead gen back into our KV core system. And then Candela will make sure that I'm on top because I'm not good at that. I'm not good at checking my app but Candela can text me, call me, throw me an alarm, anything she needs to do to get me to remember to call back that listing lead. If I don't do these things, now I'm lying. I'm saying I'm going to do them. But if I do all these things and I don't reach my goal, I didn't lie. It's all good. I'm not a bad person because I didn't reach my goal. Okay. Main point right here is if I set a goal and I hit it, maybe the goal is too low. That's what I like to think. Okay. That's why I like to set big, hairy, audacious goals, because most of the billionaires that I read about or admire from a distance say this: I've never reached a goal I've set. I'm okay with that. Okay. So there's a different sprint for each of your goals. You guys decide which they are. And of course, the last page is this one, which is the cash flow budget worksheet. This is really going to be important. And you have that sheet in front of you. It's really to be about this. I did not pay enough attention to profitability and margins in the early part of my career. I wish I had. Okay. But a good example is that you've got to sit with your CPA or the person or your bookkeeper or whoever it is and say, here are the different categories. When my ex-wife and I got audited years ago from the IRS, one of the things they caught me on was client gifts. We had told our CPA that, oh, this money right here was all spent on client gifts, and it was like $10,000 or something. And it came up in the audit, and the auditor said, what's this client gifts? $10,000. How many clients do you have? And I told him, and I think it was like, and he said, well, sorry, sir, we only allow, the IRS code is $25 maximum write-off a year for a client gift. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Well, my wife and I met after that, paid the extra taxes, and we fired our CPA. And we went to another CPA, and they said, bring me what you're sending the client. So let's see. I brought them, and I was giving away Cutco, and there was this, but it was it's kind of a spreader that was also served as a pie cutter. And then there was a pair of scissors. And what else was the third thing? A knife, a little knife. So it was a package of 3 little things. No, it was just scissors and the spreader. And on the spreader, it said Rick G. Ha, Keller Williams back then, and my number. And he goes, sorry, Rick, this isn't a client gift. This is marketing. He said, and there's no percentage of marketing where the IRS can question you as long as you can prove you're paying it. So like, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, we got to pay as much attention to the back end of our business, because we don't have a job, we have a business. It doesn't matter what brokerage you're with, guys. We have a business. It's called the Rick G. Ha Real Estate Team, the Bruce and Bernadette Real Estate Team, Ramsey Sorrell Business Team, Real Estate Team. Those are our businesses. Doesn't matter what brokerage we're with. The brokerage is just one of the expenses of our business. Okay, so it's important that we start to really analyze this and decide, how is it that we're going to be profitable? And that's why I say, read what you can, pick up what you can. So I'm going to stop right there. That's the end of the booklet. And we've kind of covered everything, except that I want to go through questions, comments, ahas, anything that you're going to do to be a little different. Well, the other thing I want to do, since we are recording, is tell everybody that our last 2 calls in December, the first Friday in December is December 2nd, I believe. And that the 2nd and the 16th, we will be doing some great information that we're doing at Workman Success Systems. We have all this new stuff coming out about the shift, scripts, dialogues, all kinds of things. And I've gotten permission to give it to everybody for free. Okay, so I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to be, after we do the calls on it, then we'll be sending out the collateral, the printable pages and scripts and dialogues. We're doing some amazing stuff at Workman on this, guys. So I hope you'll all stay tuned, and we'll do that in the last 2 calls of December. Okay. Okay. Thoughts, comments, questions? Just unmute yourself. Don't raise your hand. Just unmute yourself. Start talking. Okay. Wow, that's loud.
I have
Yes.
a question. So when you say meetings, we have so many people still that don't like to meet.
Yeah.
I mean, are you talking about if I can get them hooked up with my lender, they get pre-approved? Does that
Yeah.
count as a meeting?
Yeah. Anything
Totally,
that
just
moves them in the direction of you, right?
Okay.
The only, like, with a listing, Bernadette, right? At
Right.
some point, you're going to go see the house and sit down and
Right.
sign listing documents, right?
Right.
And we use a program now called Glide. So after I see the house and they decide that they're going to list with me, I don't have to go back for paperwork anymore now. I mean,
Okay.
so
We're 95% buyers, so
yeah,
we do most everything
fine.
via phone call or Zoom, so that counts.
exactly. Yes. It's the point where you truly believe that they're committed to you.
Okay.
And like a lot of people say, well, I don't do buyer broker agreements. I don't either, but I do have a freaking loyalty conversation with them. You get it?
Yeah.
Like, I have a conversation about loyalty.
Do you disagree with BBAs, or you just don't like to use them? Because
No, we never did them back in the day, and I'm not ready to learn a new skill. Right. But I've encouraged, like, somebody, Cindy's on here. She's the lead buyer specialist for my team. And she's gotten a couple of our buyers agents to use them. I'm not saying don't use them. Please use them if you can. I'm just not the guy that's going to teach you how to use them, but
Gotcha.
I think they're a great thing. Because what are they doing? They're committing you to, and when we show, even when I used to listen to teachers talk about it, they say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, signing this is committing me to 1,000% of my resources going towards you. And I love the way he said that, because it wasn't about what they were signing and what it committed them to. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. The other thing too, Bernadette and Bruce, if I was coaching you, I'd be saying, can we still keep the same number of buyers that we had last year or more, but have the percentage be less because we also added sellers, right? That's what I'd be challenging you to do.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rick, this might be a question that can't be answered quickly, but should we be adjusting our marketing plan dollars based on the current market conditions? And is there any way that we might be able to find resources that can attempt to give us direction on that?
Well, so I think when you look at in the SWOT analysis, the threats and opportunities, it gives you an opportunity to take a look at where
Mhm.
people are believing that the market is going. I'm not really a prognosticator, but what I've heard from 3 different lenders, I didn't even ask for the information. They said, oh, we're looking like we're going to be between 4.75 and 5.5 by the end of the first quarter. Right. And then all of a sudden, I don't watch the news or listen to the news, but something popped up that said, the Feds, and what did he say? It said the Feds were
CPI.
Yeah, we're saying that they were going to have to start reducing rates to slow the recession down and something like that. So it was
Right.
kind of aligning. But all I do is I continue with the optimism, but I watch my income and then watch the percentage that we're allowed. So yes, Casey, who's my wife, is also our CFO and CEO. She says, oh, look, commission income is down, so we're going to drop a bit on our marketing expenses, right? So it is a
Right.
matter of once a week minimum, Crystal, looking at everything and saying, how are we going forward, right? And for a lot of us, it's not good. I would normally have hired somebody to do that, but luckily I married someone who can do that. We haven't all done that, right? Like not everybody's got that. So you get a bookkeeper. And I remember when Casey was too busy in her business to work in mine, her business is more automated now, but she brought me a bookkeeper at $85 an hour. And I said, I can't afford $85 an hour. She goes, with your financial crap, you can't afford not to have a bookkeeper for $85 an hour. And that bookkeeper began the change in my financial life. Working with,
Yeah.
she didn't work with me, she worked with Casey, and Casey would make time to say, oh, Carol, go over what's going on in Rick's business with me. But now Casey works directly with our CPA who has a bookkeeping arm, but it's like 1 or 2 times a week they're having conversations. I've never had that happen in my business before, right? So there's constant analysis so that we're running a profitable business. Okay. Good question.
Yeah, I have a meeting with my financial advisor on Tuesday for 2023. So
Good.
totally agree with you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, guys, I hate to cut it off. We're having a lot of fun, but I actually have a 10 o'clock Zoom, and I love you all. Have an amazing Thanksgiving. Join
Thank
us
you.
back on December 2nd. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. So I hope to see you guys all there. Okay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, man, how's it going? Oh, you guys are on mute.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I have this big free Friday coaching call that I do first and third Friday. So it ran a little late and it was on the same Zoom link. So
2 minutes back, we're not gonna complain.
okay. Great. Good to see
Okay.
you guys. Let me reduce the glare back there one sec.
Sure.
Okay.
Would you mind if we don't get recorded at the moment?
Oh, no, I wasn't going to record it.
It says recording on. progress.
Oh, okay. No, I need to cut
Yeah, I
that
was like,
off.
it's kind of
Shoot.
odd we're getting recorded.